All right, we're live. Hi, everybody. For those of you watching this, we are doing a Paintisode tonight, though this is going to be a bit of an unusual one as it is not going to be shown live. This is a pre-recorded Paintisode to fill some content holes on the channel. So with me tonight, I have my lovely wife, Alicia, Skip the Warhammer Geek, and Vince Venturella.
Hello.
How's it going, everybody?
Hey.
Hey, everybody.
Well, I'm just glad you didn't introduce me after the lovely wife part. I was a bit scared for a minute.
As much as I love you, Vince, we're not legally recognized in any state, so I try and keep my information factual. So, I got an invite out to Michael as well, but I have no idea if he'll respond. I have a sneaking suspicion that he actually has a life outside of gaming, because he never shows up on these random things, so we'll kind of see what that turns into.
Or he could actually be doing his painting.
Wow.
If he was doing his painting, he could do it in front of us like the rest of us are. I mean, hell, he turned down the last... He turned down the last Paintisode because he was watching the interview, so he's got other things that he does. It's a little weird, but...
I don't understand. I don't get it.
Yeah,
Love him anyway.
me neither. Yeah. So, what's everybody working on tonight?
I am working on the wonderful world of Bretonians, of course, as always, as I have been. Although, I've got some, and I was very happy to see, I hadn't ordered anything from Games Workshop yet this month. I've been waiting, because I've been waiting to see there was a bunch of Bretonian stuff out of stock, and specifically I needed some trebuchets, and they've been out of stock, like, forever. And today is one of the last days you can order for a chance for your golden ticket, although as I'm saying this to you people listening, that's probably not true anymore. It's the 1st of March is the last day, so almost there. And I loaded up this morning, and lo and behold, everything Bretonian was back in stock. So I ordered me some trebuchets. And I got some Tomb Kings burning a hole in the back pocket, so after I finish this Lance and some other Bretonian stuff, I'm going to switch it up. Skip, I really mean it, by the way. We can do like a 5-6 hour hangout where I will walk through making that war kitty with you. You need to get that thing on the table. It is the best model in the army.
Of course, at this point, I don't even know if it's like, is it even playable at 1,000 points? Or worthwhile, I guess, because I think point-wise it is playable, but at 1,000 points it might be a little tight.
It's going to be very tight.
I don't have an answer to whether or not you should. I can just say that, what do you think Lord Tremendous would tell you?
Kitty!
That's right.
Well, let's see here. I have...
I don't know. I'm at the point where I may be taking a page out of Tremendous's book and setting my damn dice on fire. I'm at very least I'm buying a new set of dice before Brawlers, because these dice I have, oh my god, I think they have something against me. Yeah, it's just terrible. I mean, just absolutely terrible.
Not the best of luck recently?
No, I don't even know that. That's kind of a nice way of putting it. I think literally the dice have accepted a contract by someone to assure that I never do well with any of the units I like ever again.
Is it the dice's fault that you ran like 15 Black Knights into like 30 Hammerers? I'm just checking.
That was me. However, it was the dice's fault that the 2 turns that I had to buff that unit to make that closer to a certain fight, my level 4 failed to cast a 11 up on 4 dice twice.
That's that's pretty bad. Okay, fair enough.
So yeah, it was pretty terrible. So I need a new set. Is just really what it comes down to. I need a new set bad.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. Buying new dice is one of the great pastimes of all gamers. Exciting.
Yeah. Maybe that's my problem. I've put off buying new dice for a while, and it's just these are burned out. I need to replace. But speaking of which, I sent in. Yeah, I don't usually need that many D6s for D&D though.
You could roll those instead of D20s.
Yeah, let's not do that.
Shadowrun then? Okay, cool. Yeah, just go to the old FASA systems, you know? Like Shadowrun, Battletech, they were all pure D6 systems.
Interestingly enough, I never played either of those games. My D6 experience was limited to the original Star Wars and Toon.
Gotcha. Toon was a good game. I like Toon a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I
lost
really despise
my copies of them.
You didn't
You
lose
can
them, you
still
threw
find
them
it around.
away.
I didn't throw them away, did I?
You threw them away because you're, one, a punk, and two, they were in binders.
I don't remember that. Okay.
But to answer your original question, I can take a War Sphinx at 210 points, but it would, or I could take the Necro Sphinx at 225.
Stop it. Don't do that.
What, the Necro?
Yeah.
I get the feeling that the Necro is the red-headed stepchild of the Sphinx family.
Take the Necro.
Yeah, with the way your dice luck works, the Necro will probably do much better for you.
It's true. If that's really how your luck works, then take the Necro Sphinx. He's got that one heroic killing blow attack, out of all of his attacks, because of course it would be too ridiculous to give him, heroic killing blow just as a rule. And but for you, that would always hit and always be, land a 6, so you'd be good to go.
Mm-hmm.
So, speaking of prep for the next campaign, I have finally made my decision between pterodons and ripperdactyls, and the winner is, drumroll please, ripperdactyls.
Yeah.
I want to
thought
unleash.
You were gonna make me sad, but no, you made me happy.
No, I was looking at them, and you know what? I got an itch to unleash some toad rage on somebody.
That's right. That is right.
And I kind of changed up the list that I'm planning on a little bit. Because I spent so much time on these freaking Saurus, I'm actually going to start with them in the army instead of just introducing them later like was my original plan. So I'm not going to be doing the Scrox unit to start off with. I'm going to be doing a 16-man Saurus unit instead.
Just straight Saurus, right? Not
And
like
then
Temple Guard or anything?
No, Temple Guard are on my list of will get eventually, but once I get basically enough of this stuff done for 1,000 points or so, my growth in the army is going to become much more slowed and deliberate.
Sure.
So
it's funny because Sauruses to me are like, they're so weird. I don't want to. By the way, I never heard what Skip and Alicia were working on. I don't want to be rude and just talk over everybody.
Oh yeah.
But Sauruses
What are you guys
weird.
working?
Yes, that's what I'll say.
We'll get back to that topic as soon as they answer the question.
Yes.
Ladies first.
This last little bit of wine.
She's working on a bottle of wine.
All right.
I kind of wish I had another bottle.
Are you still painting up the Nurgle demons, or have you moved on to something else now?
I've got one more Rotfly to do, and I was planning on trying to do a how-to video for that one. I'm working on a how-to video right now for the crew of the corn cannon that will ever render. But right now I'm trying to, because I've got 2 corn cannons, one with crew and one without. I'm trying to come up with a paint scheme desperately.
For
Preferably
the
one.
cannon itself, or for the dudes?
Huh?
Your paint scheme. You said you're trying to come up with a paint scheme for the cannon itself, or for the dudes?
For the cannon itself, I already got a paint scheme for the dudes. I posted one of them up on the PMP already.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's why I was gonna want that was gonna be my follow-up question was, didn't you already post up some of those guys? So I didn't know if maybe you were like trying to do a different paint scheme for. Of course, my dog found her squeaky ball. Hey,
Woo! Squeaky
for
ball.
for a different for the second one, like having different blood letters.
I thought it was a Skaven attack.
Well,
No.
those Eshin assassins are everywhere. You got to keep your you gotta always be ready.
Hmm.
Well, let me, if I might.
Okay, go ahead.
To me, there are 3 paint schemes that I really like. Okay, with the corn skill cannons. Just this is all personal. Take it for what it's worth. One, I really like the red, gold on the metal going gold, the flat pieces going red, and then with like a pink or a flesh tone on the skin part under the hull. Okay.
Okay.
I also really like black, just jet straight black. In fact, if you can make it glossy on the flat parts, that looks good. Again, then with like, with that, I like a very, very bright yellow infused gold to set off against the black on the metallic parts, and then something like very maroonish, like in the deep red spectrum for the undertone flesh undercarriage part. Or if you want to go full on phallic cannon, since that's what it is, it's basically just a big phallic cannon. You go pure flesh tone for like all of the most of the cannon, and then make the underbelly just like pinky tongue inside of your cheek pinky, and then it's just a big. Well, I don't know if you're going to mark this as 18 plus, but I think we can all picture where I'm going with this.
Yeah, I get where you're going with that. Well, the problem is if it was mine, I wouldn't care like one way or the other. I just, but it's not mine, and it's kind of trying to go with the rest of the army. So I don't really think the guy I'm doing this for would really appreciate it, the Wayne cannon. But that's a great idea.
I don't know. He liked your toads. Maybe you could make it look like a diseased Wang cannon and it would fit in.
What I'm actually doing right this second is I made the fleshy bits. I'm gonna make them blue because it's a complement to the orange of the dudes. I don't know what I'm gonna do for like the rest of it though.
It's a fun model, but it is a bitch of a model.
Yeah,
it has a lot of little fiddly bits and pieces on it.
Well, the worst part is it's already together, and there's nothing I can do about it. It's just together.
Yeah.
Which makes it even like 10 times worse.
When I did mine, I had to paint it in stages because there was no way in hell I was going to be able to pull off painting that thing once it was all assembled. It's damn near nightmarish.
It's funny because that's one I honestly didn't do in sub-assemblies. Like, other than I left the guys on the back because I found them to be like the little pedestal they're on, and that stuff I found really annoying. So I left that off the back. But other than that, I did put the whole thing together.
Really?
Which is unusual. I'm generally very pro sub-assembly.
I'm wishing that I had done some sub-assembly on this freaking Saurus. This has been the hardest freaking model to paint for this army so far. Can you see it? It's like he's got all this crazy amount of armor, but just enough gaps in it so you're seeing like his scales underneath it. And he's got more freaking skulls on him than a bloodthirster. And just I don't know. There's just lots of nooks and crannies that are annoying the hell out of me right now.
That's what makes them good. The nooks and the crannies. I mean, if you just have the nooks, it's not worth it. Same with the crannies. You gotta have both.
Right. I was just wishing I had thought about that beforehand and painted it before I put it all the hell together. Because I don't mind doing that when I think about it, but I mean, I had such an easy time with the Saurus, the warriors, that it really didn't seem like a big deal, and now I'm like, it's a big fucking deal.
I regret everything.
I do. So what are you doing, Skip?
I am working on Princess Makara, my Tomb Princess.
Also known as High Queen Calidia.
Yeah, I'm just, yeah.
I saw the picture you threw up. I have a question, Skip, and I mean this with all aplomb.
Mm-hmm.
Was that already primed with that picture you put up, or did you prime it, or was it like that when you got it?
Yeah, I was like that when I got it.
Okay. That's what I was terribly afraid of. Is it
Yeah.
resin or metal?
How do you tell the difference?
Hit it on the table. If it makes a metal sound, it's metal.
It's metal.
Is it plastic or made of metal?
It's metal.
Okay. I will tell you right now, you're probably already painting it, and so you're not going to be too hip to my idea.
Mm-hmm.
But with a prime job like that, or whatever was going on with that thing, I would absolutely strip that before I put paint to that model. Because you are starting with a hellacious handicap on one of the most beautiful women in the Warhammer world. And like,
I hadn't seen his post. What's wrong with it?
It's.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, it's hard to describe with the human mouth.
English has not yet invented the appropriate words.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like the prime job just looks, oh boy.
Yeah, it's bad.
Like, I actually have the picture up. I mean,
Yeah,
it looks muddy. It looks like it was primed in typhus corrosion.
I mean, I prime stuff bad, but this makes me look like Alicia's priming. You know, that's how bad this is.
Wow, that's like hellaciously bad.
It's bad.
How do you do that? Do you just set it on fire and go, look, now it's black, you can paint it? I got to go find this picture now, because like,
Sure,
my brain,
it's like
the
a
only
topic
thing on the
PMP
PMP
right now.
Yeah, it's on the PMP. The only thing I've done is I've put Balthasar Gold as a base for the staff and some of her jewelry, and that's all I've done so far.
Jesus Christ, dude.
I told you, yeah, it's bad.
That's not prime. Somebody rolled that in dog shit.
Screen share it. I'm gonna go looking for it.
It's literally the top thing on the PMP.
Yeah,
Share it. You're looking at it. Share it.
Where are you, screen share? Can you see it?
yeah, it's terrible.
Okay. What?
Is your question what's wrong with that? I hope your question isn't what's wrong with that.
It's brown.
It's way more than
It's
brown.
not only that, you've got like super thick over the chest and the part of the cloak to the point it's glossy. You've got patches all through the staff where it's missing. Like the whole bottom just looks half-assed.
It looks like it was painted and then primed over, is what it looks like.
That's what I was thinking.
Like, her face, okay, Queen Calidia's face is half and half. Half human, half undead. And I can't even see the distinction line in her face anymore. Right?
It's pretty bad.
Well, I was just looking at it from the screen share, and it kept bouncing around, so...
Yeah, you need to go look at it, because it's pretty god-awful.
No, and again, Skip, none of that's a judgment on you. I know you didn't prime that or whatever. You didn't make
No, believe me, I own up to my crap. So, yeah.
If I ruined it, I'll claim it.
I'll claim it.
Well,
How
let me
should
ask
I
you this
get rid of
question.
it?
Like, if it's metal, it's
Yeah.
so easy to get the paint off it. Okay.
Okay.
And it would serve you so well. If this is really going to be she's going to be your Hierophant, right?
No, she's going to be actually I'm going to use her as a Tomb Prince, but it's going to be a Tomb Princess.
I love it even more.
Mm-hmm.
Since that's what she really is. She is a Tomb Queen.
Oh my god.
I think she just saw the picture.
Yeah.
Told you.
You can just peel that paint off with your finger.
Let me ask you this question: Do you have pine sol in your house?
I do.
Okay. You should put that pine sol into a small plastic tub and put Calidia into that tub and seal it and let her sit there for 24 hours.
Okay.
It will, and then when you take her out tomorrow, just get an old crappy toothbrush or something like that with some, don't use your toothbrush.
Use somebody's toothbrush you don't like.
Yes. And
My
just
wife's
scrub, and
toothbrush.
it will
Got
come off.
Okay.
Now, if it really is,
Wow, dude.
if it really is prime overpainting, you may have to do it twice. Let me just warn you up front. Because if it really is that thick on there, it's entirely possible that even 24 hours wouldn't be enough. You may have to soak, scrub. But the end result will be very worth your time.
Okay.
So again, I don't want to disrupt your current work, but I think
No, that's all right. I've got plenty of other Tomb King stuff to do, so not a problem.
And as a side note, if you do this and you were wrong about whether it's metal or resin, you'll find out when the whole model melts.
Well, that is the advantage to pine sol. Pine sol won't melt even a resin or plastic model. So even if you were wrong, you can do it with pine sol too. Pine sol is actually very not abrasive. It won't melt resin or plastic.
Okay.
And the only thing I've ever found it unable to strip is a D&D mini, because I don't know if the plastic is actually that color, but you cannot strip a D&D mini. It can't. It doesn't work. Whatever they're doing there, it is that forever.
Huh. I'll talk about what we're painting. Why don't you go back to your point about Saurus being weird?
Yeah, Saurus are weird because, on paper, they look like they should be so good. You're strength and toughness 4, fairly decent armor save sometimes. Whether 5 up, 4 up if they got a shield, right? Because they're scaly skin and stuff. And they basically have 2 attacks, and they've got
with the possibility for up to 4. Yeah, I mean.
Right, exactly. Yeah, they can go prime. Wait, theirs is called Predatory Fighter. Yeah, they can do that thing. So by all accounts, they should be good, and yet I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's their weapon choices, because I think regular Saurus can only have hand weapon, shield, or spear. Is that right?
That is correct. I tell you, it's the combination of that and the fact that they do not have access to great weapons, they don't have access to great weapons, and their initiative is 1.
Yeah, exactly. They underwhelm. I've got a buddy who plays Lizardmen, so I actually play Lizardmen quite a bit, and Sauruses just constantly disappoint. Now, Temple Guard, on the other hand, and I understand one's a special choice and one is a poor choice, so whatever, but I don't know, man. There's just something about Sauruses that constantly let me down. They just feel like they should be better than they play.
Well, I'm hoping that at 1,000 points, they're still sort of within their weight class, so they won't be as disappointing. But I'm not expecting them to do huge, amazing things for me.
That's good.
I mean, that makes sense, and I think that's true, because, it is funny, the game does play and change a lot differently at that point level, right? Skip had mentioned using a Necrolith Colossus, and I said, yeah, totally. Even though normally I don't think he's worth it, at 1,000 points, I think he can do some damage, because, there's less cannons that are going to shoot him down. There's less general things in the world that are going to hurt him. and the infantry blocks are smaller, meaning that when he hits a unit and goes crazy with his devastating charge, he has a lot better chance to really, wreck the face of that unit.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I really do think that that's true.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to doing this campaign because, I mean, it's been a long time since we've really busted out these low point value games. So I'm looking forward to getting out of the 2,500 to 3,000 point range for a little while.
Have you thought about your escalation pattern and whether or not you're going to, constantly escalate, or are you going to come back and forth some a little bit?
We honestly haven't discussed it. I think to a certain degree it will likely be influenced by sort of how much fun we're having at the 1,000 point. I mean, if the 1,000 points is something that we're really enjoying, then yeah, I could see us either slowly escalating or kind of coming back and forth as the story demands. But if it turns out that we're all sitting here complaining about not being able to field the cool stuff and so on and so forth, then we may just escalate quickly. I don't know.
Gotcha. That's fair.
I kind of don't mind staying at the
For that
lower
matter.
points.
Yeah. Well, it lets us get in more games per night, which is always good. Of course, the thought kind of do basically like a bracketing system. And essentially the idea is if you sort of like we're talking about with earning the powers and whatnot, you can essentially earn your army the right to compete at higher point values.
Okay.
So, I mean, I don't know. Just a random thought. It's like it's not even really fully formed yet. It was just kind of a, we're doing this with everything else. Why not point values too? Oh, Soros, you piss me off.
I thought I had a Tomb Herald model, but I guess I don't.
Well, they're not that hard to manufacture, honestly. It's just a guy with a banner. If you've got an extra Tomb Guard around, you can convert them into Tomb Heralds pretty easy, because they're really just souped up Tomb Guard.
Yeah. And I do.
There you go. Just put a real nice stick on him and you're good to go.
That's what she said.
Heyo. See, there you go, right there. There's mine. That's what I did for mine.
Oh, hang on, let me look.
Oh, wrong way. All right.
Hold on.
There we go. See, that's him. He's just got the extra little thing. I took the vulture off of one of the other models and called it a day.
Yeah, all right.
Pretty straightforward. Those vultures are infinitely useful little guys.
Where'd you get them?
The vulture from the There's a couple different ones. One of them comes in the Screaming Skull Catapult kit. Has a vulture.
Okay.
If you didn't put it randomly on top of your Screaming Skull Catapult, there's one you can get there. I think one of the characters comes with one as well. Yeah. Useful little bit. I always like little random creatures. Owls and lizards and rats and stuff. Those are just good to keep around because you never know when they're going to become useful.
Like that vulture from the ogre kits that I put on the head of my Bretonian Maneater. That's
exactly.
So, kind of popping back to the idea that I'm going to be using rippers. General question for paint scheme. I want to do kind of like a different thing with each of the dinosaurs and the big monsters, but still have it tied in.
Okay.
And the rippers are easy because they've got skinks, sort of that same orange and red pattern. So I'm thinking that I want to do my rippers in purple.
Terrible idea.
That's... Okay, do you want to elaborate on that one for me?
No, it's just terrible.
Okay. Anybody who's not just being a Hunt want to say?
I support it fully. I'm always down with purple. I will throw purple at models every chance I get. You're like, so me? Yeah, I'm in full support. I love me purple.
Yeah.
Now let me say this. I think you should use red purple, not blue purple.
Mm-hmm.
That way it looks closer tonally to the skinks, who, if they're going to be, if your skinks on top are going to be the same color as your existing skinks, then using a red purple would give you more of a color tie-in to that.
He's not going to be able to tell the difference.
Well, that came up during the show. Yeah, the idea of that some people can't see that color distinction. That's not actually unusual at all. As I mentioned, it's much more common for men to be unable to tell those kinds of color differences than women. We had much less evolutionary pressure to be able to need to distinguish fine color differences. So, that being said, just, Alicia, point him toward a good red purple as opposed to blue purple. I know you have a good eye for color.
Yeah. But it's just so much funnier just to be smarmy at him.
Well, that's understandable, but I can't be responsible for that, Mitt. Sorry, that's how it is.
Mm-hmm. Somebody remind me why the hell I invited her to this Paintisode again?
She's in the house with you, and it'd probably be worse for you if you didn't. The call is coming from inside the house.
Oh, it's right in the next room. Not only that, but he talks so stinking loud, I can hear him even when I'm upstairs with the door closed in the shower.
Well, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Think of it like his voice is made for public speaking. You've got the voice of a natural-born leader. That's what that is.
Right. Unfortunately, I never say anything that anyone cares about hearing, so the two kind of cancel each other out.
Very nice.
I just think he's bad at volume control.
I, too, have been accused on many an occasion of failing to have a proper inside voice. But fortunately, my office is very, very segregated from the rest of the house. I could start a concert down here and my wife wouldn't hear it just because of the nature of how our house is built. Which is good, because I am very loud.
Nice. So basically you're telling us you can take somebody down there and no one's going to hear him scream.
That is correct, yes. I could murder someone down here. That is what I am telling you. You hear that, Internet? I will do it.
Woohoo! Hey, I can build a Necrotech. I got a whip. All right.
That's kind of a weird follow-up.
Well, I'm going through all my Tomb King bits.
Well, if you think about it, it's on topic. No one can hear people scream down there, so, you can get a whip and do whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm with you. That's what I'm saying. It was a rather interestingly timed answer.
Okay, explain something to me from the point of view of someone who doesn't play Tomb Kings. What the hell good is a whip for motivating your workers when they have no flesh?
Because Necrotechs aren't... Necrotechs, the weapons that they wield, like everything in the Tomb King army, it doesn't come out of when they were dead. Remember, everybody, these were all living people, and then they died. But when they woke up, they all kept the same bag of tricks. So, Necrotechs whipped all of them to build the pyramids and the cities and crap like that. They used whips in life, so they just kept using them in death.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So all the skeletons that they're motivating are Jews. Shame on you, GW. Shame on you.
We need...
The Jews did not build the pyramids.
Yep.
Somebody did.
You know what? Just for the sake of me not having to rate this or edit it, let's pull back from that particular topic if it's all
Fair enough. In imaginary world here, where it has nothing to do with real world history, brave Nehekarans built the pyramid under the lash of their cruel masters. Yeah, like, I'm glad to hear you got a Necrotect. I think they're a nice hero. They're cheap. I mean, they get killed out, but then again, because like they're made of tissue paper. But who cares if they survive like the first round? As long as your people get to attack before they die, you're good. Because they pass that hatred along. That's all that matters.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That regen, I'll tell you now. Like I know you've mentioned going like animated construct. Okay. I'll tell you now, man. That regen's hard to use. Like as I'm sure you've known. I don't know if you've ever like had a Necrotech and run a lot of animated constructs. It's difficult. Just keeping them in the right range. It can like. What I will say, my best piece of advice is don't be like me and make bad decisions about where you move your actual infantry unit just because you want to keep your arcane constructs having a 6-up regen. That is that's not a good thing. Let me expose this flank charge so these 3 Ushabti can have a 6-up regen. No, that is not. That's the wrong choice. Not that you would
Everybody
be
knows
making terrible decisions like I did, but hey.
No,
it Skip's lucky. He'll make his own terrible decisions.
Yep.
Did you watch Lord Tremendous's newest battle report there, Skip?
Not yet.
He has a giant, like, the newest one he put up is like a truly giant battle report. It's like 6,666 points of Tomb Kings against the same amount of Legions of Chaos.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually has 5 Boshabti on the table. And
awesome.
That he paid points for.
He paid points for. And I feel like the story of the Ushabti in that game is the story of everyone who's ever played Tomb Kings in a tiny microcosm. It is a play in 3 acts, a tragedy, you might say, that plays out before you. I won't spoil it for you. I'll let you watch the report. But
okay.
Pay careful attention, because I feel as though his experiences may be what you eventually come to experience. It'll be like looking into your own future.
Speaking of battle reports, did you get to see the last one I put up today, Skip?
No, I had.
Michael and me?
No, I was working all day today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It was a pretty good game, despite the sort of cheesy way the the scenario made it turn out, but it was good fun.
I thought it was a solid game, and it was nice that it actually came down to kind of what it was supposed to come down to. And again, I liked your mid-battle narration very much.
Thank you. I'm as far as feedback I've gotten on that is still very split.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Well, it split sort of 3 ways after the first time. Because the first time I didn't really intend to do it. It was one of those, like, while I was working on the battle report, when it got to that point, like, inspiration just took over, and I improv'd the whole thing. So there were some that liked it. There were some that thought it could have used a little more polish and maybe a rewrite, like the normal, like, intros and outros do. And then there were some who thought it was distracting during the actual battle report side of things. So it was not, there was not a landslide decision in any way. So
wow. Well, that just goes to show you it takes all kinds.
Mm-hmm.
Distracting from number crunching. Ow.
No, I guess distracting from my tactical brilliance. At least that's the way I'm taking it.
That seems. It couldn't be any other thing. That seems completely legitimate. Yes.
Right.
Yeah, no.
I hate glowing skeletons.
You hate, what'd you say, gluing skeletons?
Yes.
Then why are you doing a Doom King's army?
I mean,
yeah.
Are you at
kinda got a point.
Got a point.
Are you at least using less of the plastic glue this time?
I am.
He's sniffing more.
One of the funniest thing about Skip when he started the vampire counts that I did originally, I guess he didn't know that plastic glue kind of melts the plastic together.
That's the idea of the thing, yes.
So he used the shit out of it on those skeletons and just mangled the shit out of them.
Yep.
Like, way too much, and they were just like melting into pieces. It was pretty funny.
Yes, less is more when it comes to glue. You want as teeny tiny itty bitty amount as you possibly can get.
Okay.
Space.
That's right. Just like the jeans.
As a side note, this Source character is very distracting in the fact that his toes are on the base.
Oh, like you actually said, like his little toes are actually on the base piece?
Yeah. Like,
Whoa.
2 of them from each foot. It's not even
and
like...
you
like
were
it's,
anti-base, and they were like, nope, not even going to give you a chance here, buddy. Unless you want this guy to be footless, toeless. You gotta use them. That's their
I'll have to... I'm going to have to mod a tiny little wheelchair for him if I don't like the space.
Well, maybe he's got diabetes. You don't know. Could be the case.
Nice.
Alright, how's that any better than what I
got
was
the
saying before?
diabetes.
At least mine was historical.
You can still make a diabetes joke on television. You can't drop a hard J, as Scrubs and 30 Rock have taught us.
Really?
Yeah. But it's so weird because like one of his, like, the toe that they leave him, because I guess the Saurus have kind of the chicken foot thing going on where their feet are set up like this,
Right.
except it's like 3 toes, and on those are pretty normal. But on this guy, he's got like velociraptor claws in that middle toe, or that first toe. So it just looks very strange before you assemble it. It's just like if he pointed his feet down, he'd be walking on stilts. Very bizarre.
Gotcha. I like the
Well, maybe that's why
skate
he's the
model.
character.
Say what? I'm sorry, 2 of you were talking at once.
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
hear either of you.
Go ahead.
Huh?
Repeat what you said.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was just gonna say, maybe that's why he's the character. He's the token mutant.
Yeah, but given the fluff of the Lizardmen, you wouldn't think they'd put a whole hell of a lot of stock in mutants.
Apparently they do. Because he's the character.
Right.
Aren't they like masters of genetics? I wouldn't even think you could have mutants.
Well, I wouldn't call them masters of genetics. They don't even know how the shit works that gives birth to them. Maybe the Slan do, but the fluff never talks about it. But all they know is the spawning pools bubble and then dudes come out. And sometimes it's a lot of dudes. Sometimes it's only one dude, and that's where they get skink priests from.
Well, I'm sure the
Yeah,
Slan
it's-
know because they understand sort of everything. They're ready to go. They got them spaceships fueled at all times. Like the Slan know
Maybe,
that
maybe
the
not.
411.
Maybe, maybe not, because it specifically states that the Slan don't understand how to, make their own spawnings. So that's why they're, no more Slan after the 5th spawning. Because
Gotcha.
the Slan just basically forgot how to work the spawning pools for themselves. And even
I think
that,
Mazimundi
there's...
and Croak know they're just holding out on everybody because they know they're the special ones. That's what it is.
Maybe. But, there's a lot of questions left in the book. the chameleon skinks specifically. And I don't know, I didn't follow Lizardmen through other editions, so it may just be kind of a tongue-in-cheek way of explaining why they disappeared and reappeared. But, like, they talk about this chameleon skinks used to be around, and then when the Chaos Portals originally opened up, they just stopped spawning. And then all of a sudden, like, X number of years ago, chameleon skinks have just started, like, shooting out of the spawning pools in record numbers. And nobody can understand why, not even the Salon seem to understand why it is, because everybody's kind of arguing as to what the portent of that means. So I get the feeling that the Salon don't know nearly as much as they'd like everyone to believe they do.
Could be. Very well could be. Those uppity frogs.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, yeah, I originally they were their own army, like the frogs.
It ain't easy being green.
Right. Back in pre-army book times, the Slon were their own force.
So there was like Lizardmen and Slon, or?
There wasn't really Lizardmen. There was just like Slon, and it was a totally different thing. Like the army was called like Slon. And they were a lot different than sort of the modern Lizardmen Slon. But I mean, they were still big frogs.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I think the fact that they don't necessarily make sense together.
I can't wait till. Mm-hmm.
Is in the fact that the army is called Lizardmen, and Slon are frogs. Those are different things. Those are not the same thing.
No.
Like, I'm just not to overstate the obvious, but you know, frogs, not lizards.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Science.
Yes, indeed. That's the kind of information that these Paintisodes provide.
Oh
Are not lizards. Everybody take that home.
Exactly.
To the bank. Deposit that and like the whole memory thing.
That's that was the final Jeopardy question last night. So you know you can make a lot of money with knowledge like that. Final Jeopardy question: are frogs lizards? What is no?
So, I guess we'll discuss some other battle reports. Did y'all see Remington Steele finally got up the battle report for the scenario I wrote for him 6 months ago?
I did. I did not get to watch it yet, though. But yes, I saw that he put it up.
It was good, though. I think he played it wrong, but
What did he do wrong?
Well, he basically, and it was a big mistake because it ended up, I think, fundamentally altering how the game turned out. The way the scenario was set up is you have to try and catch the Razor Gore, and if you attempt to charge it, it flees from you 3d6 inches, and if you catch it still after that flight, you've caught it. So the Beastmen charge it, and he forgets to flee it 3d6 inches. So it was just like a piece of cake grab for them, and they pretty much held it the whole game.
Got it. Yeah, that would make a big difference.
Yeah, you were just after him to play it. You weren't after him to play it correctly.
I guess not. I like seeing his halfling army is absolutely gorgeous. I just like seeing the pretty pictures, frankly.
It really is, and it's an amazing accomplishment. I mean, you know, you put together a Chaos Dwarf army or something, it's like, yeah, that's pretty cool. You had to go to a lot of trouble to get that. You put together a halfling army, and you're one of like 5 people on Earth that has a halfling army. Like, that is not a common thing.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's a pretty awesome army he's got put together there, and I'm glad he enjoyed the scenario. It was fun. We probably should play it at some point, just for kicks. We just need a Razor Gore model.
Just go buy a little toy like Pumbaa out of some kind of Lion King toy set from the dollar store. You'll be good to go.
Yeah, it's not much difference from what everyone talks about him.
He looks like a psychotic Pumbaa, yes.
And at least if it's Michael, since he's playing the Beastman, that one will actually be painted.
Wow. Ugh.
Poor bastard.
That
wonder
whole,
how
that's... Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah. I was just thinking, I wonder how he's coming on with his Brawler's Bash painting. He was saying he's ahead of schedule, which for him, for me to hear from him is very worrying, because Michael works best when he thinks he's under pressure. And so if he thinks he's ahead of the game, he's going to start slacking. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then he'll be like, who was Long Island Wargaming's buddy that was like always painting in the car on the way down? I remember last year their Brawler's Bash coverage, their buddy was like painting in the car on the way down. Is that who it was?
Yeah, I think that was his name, Chris something or other. But
like in the hotel that night painting and dumps his paint all over himself.
Yeah. We're going to try and avoid that.
It's understandable.
Really good idea.
Speaking of which, I finally decided on my list. It had to get sent in tonight by midnight, so I made the deadline. I don't know how good it's going to be, and I'm fairly certain that Once Bitten is going to punch my ticket in fairly short order, but...
Yeah, but now we can rework the basing, and I can finally build you that freaking whatever it is display board.
Yeah.
So we need to go buy all that stuff.
Yeah, we got to do that Monday because we got 2 weeks left, 2.5.
Yeah,
Something
and you owe
like
me
that.
dinner.
Okay.
What's the actual date? I don't remember.
The 14th of March.
Okay, got it.
It's like
I'm gonna have
14th,
to
15th
guess-
of March.
What happens to guess that we're not going to be playing D&D that weekend?
I wasn't planning on skipping D&D.
Okay, I didn't know if you were going to be back in time or not.
I think so.
Okay, cool.
I don't know. We'll see. I think like the second day is supposed to get started pretty early, and it's only 2 games the second day.
Okay.
So
Is it 3 and 2
It's
or 4
probably-
and 2?
it's 3 and 2.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably be exhausted, and it'll be a zany-ass game where I'm barely remembering where I am, but in my defense, so will Michael, so... I'm willing to do it if you guys are. Oh, no, wait a minute, we might not, because you're still planning on going down to your mother's that weekend, aren't you?
No,
I haven't decided.
Oh, sorry.
when.
Stop me.
Oh,
Oh, were you planning on going to your mother's, Skip?
no.
No, but the next weekend is my anniversary weekend, so you will not see me. Or if you do see me that weekend, you'll never see me again. So,
Speaking of wife aggro from last week,
Indeed.
Yeah.
is that so? The week after Brawlers, you're talking about?
yeah, it's the. Hang on, let me pull up my calendar. Oh, it's right here in front of me. Duh. The weekend of the 20th, 21st, and 22nd.
Okay, good.
Okay.
So yeah, with that being the case, I guess unless Alicia's going to be gone,
Okay.
'cause I think she's still trying to plan a trip down. Yeah, we'll figure something out. I'm sure. I'm sure nobody who watches this Paintisode gives 2 craps about our
No.
scheduling for various things.
And
Probably not.
realistically, I don't want all of YouTube to know when I'm going to my mother's house.
Hi, YouTube. How are you?
Do you guys play on Sunday night normally? Is that normally your game night?
Yep.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
it works because I get off of work at 6 o'clock on Sundays, as that's when our stores close. So it's always a guaranteed day for me.
Sure, standard retail earlier hour situation on Sundays.
Well, actually, no, we don't even open till noon. It's just very short hours. It's like 6 hours instead of the normal 10 we're open.
Right. Yes, I used to, when I worked at CompUSA, originally the Sunday hours were noon to 6. And I loved it. It made Sunday such a pleasant day to work. And then they changed it to be like 10 to 8. And that was awful. It's like the worst thing because nobody was ever there at that time. You know, it's just garbage. It was just people standing around a store, employees, that is to say, being pissed off.
Mm-hmm.
America's got a real problem with shopping and how much we need people to be available for us to shop.
I agree. Although it's kind of a different animal when you're a commission sales consultant, because then you kind of want to be there just for fear of losing out on that commission if one person were to walk in and you weren't there.
Sure, absolutely. It's just a question of like that's also the problem with commission. It's like then you're very sensitive to the hour, right? Because it's like when you're sitting around and you go 2 hours and there's nobody talking to you or whatever, you're like, oh, god damn it, why is the store even open now if we could pack the customers into like a tighter time frame, you know?
Mm-hmm. I understand.
Yes. Yeah, I made my bones on commission as well for a while, and you're a tougher man than I for sticking with it. I couldn't do it. I got burnt out on it.
I'm good at it, so it's one that people are willing to pay me for.
Well, it's good to find that. It's good to find the thing that people will pay you for. That's generally positive.
Yeah, so I figure I might as well stick with it, because it's I have no idea whether it's the only thing, so we'll just stick with this. And
well, as long as you don't wake up every day hating it, you're doing just fine.
No. Actually, I have a pretty sweet gig, all things considered. The hours are pretty kooky sometimes, but I work for a good company. I get decent compensation for the work I do. It could be a heck of a lot worse.
Absolutely. The saying "working for a good company," like that's so much of the that is so much of whether or not you enjoy your job, like the quality of the company, right?
Mm-hmm.
And moreover, I find that that's a big influencer. The other big one is the quality of your management. I find that to be such a huge deal. Like, have you ever done, like, you're in commission, so you might have had to watch this. Have you ever seen fish? Has anyone ever shoved fish down your throat?
Yes, I know fish.
Absolutely.
Not me.
All right, Alicia, would you like to roughly explain fish?
It's they show this video. It's about this fish these bunch of fishmongers, what are they, in Seattle or something like that, and they just have like a blast throwing fish around.
Yes, exactly. So it's like this very famous story. It's the Seattle fish market, and it's that one very famous booth, and they're like, "What mackerel, mackerel?" and they like, "Ah!" they all yell and they throw fish all around, right? And like they have a big stall and they throw fish around. And the whole video is used in, like, when I was selling insurance, we watched the video, and they're like, being positive, like these guys, their sales were huge, and it's because they were super positive, and they did all this stuff, and blah, 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 blah. And I watched that video, and I was like, and then they gave us this little message, and I was like, no, I call shenanigans. You are liars. You are either lying or dumb if you think that's really the message of that video, okay? The message of that video is work is fun when management allows it to be fun and to have a positive attitude and a high morale. Because let me present to you another possible scenario that could have played out at that fish market and probably played out at many jobs I had. The first guy is like, I need a mackerel, and the other guy across the booth is like, 1 mackerel, and he throws the fish 30 feet across this booth in the middle of an open market, and his manager turns around and goes, hey, moron, don't throw fish. What's the matter with you? Right? And that could have happened. And then everybody in the place would be like, okay. And then they'd be all sad because they never threw fish. All right? So don't give me that crap that I can just decide to make my life great every day when I walk in if I've got a spectacular manager who's a complete a-hole every moment of my life. So, yeah, all I'm saying is I find that message to be a bit of BS. The environment has to be such.
Yeah, I know, right? I had to watch that video every semester that I worked in the theater on UNCG campus.
Mm-hmm. See, strangely enough, I don't know if I've ever described or named the company that I work for, and I'm not if I haven't, but the description of that fish market, just kind of the attitude around it, actually reminds me a lot of the company that I work for, so that's why I said it's pretty awesome.
Well, that's good. No, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, that's the whole idea. Yes, that's when you've got a positive company that's willing to keep, invest in its employees and keep them positive and happy and that kind of thing, and foster an environment where they can be successful and be motivated. Yeah, you're going to have a good time. That's what it boils down to.
As a side note, I'm almost certain that we have lost anybody who would be wanting to watch this for any discernible reason by this point.
Should we go back to talking about painting advice?
It might help unless anybody's got anything like super important to put on this particular topic.
My boss and management are a dick.
In case you all don't understand how her painting commission service works, she's referring to me again.
I mean, look at this. I can barely drink on the job. I mean, hours are terrible. God, what a jerk.
For the record, I let you set your own hours, and I have policy whatsoever.
Well, my Necrotech's going to have a separated spine.
I take it the gluing didn't work as well as you might hope.
I thought I had it right on there.
I think Alicia's starting to go Cylon on us again. Yep, there it is. In case you've ever wanted to know what a robot sighing sounds like, that was pretty much it.
Alicia needs more booze.
That's like the emo version
That will not fix your
of
computer.
Battlestar Galactica. Just a bunch of Cylons sitting around their ships like, life is so dark. Space is so dark.
Did she say booze or... Okay, never mind. Booze. All right, sorry.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll tell a fun story since you said booze. Here's a
Okay.
fun story. So I was like, let's say I lived a adventurous life when I was young. I'll say that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And as a point of that story, or as proof of that, proof in the pudding, I remember I was 14 or 15 years old, and I was driving around with a bunch of friends. Most of my friends were older, and we were driving around, and we had like, let's say like 5 or 6 bottles of Mad Dog 2020 in the car, and a 12-pack of something or other. And everybody's drinking, including the driver. And I'm like, now, I live way out in the country, but still, this is a terrible idea. Don't drink and drive, kids. That's the take-home lesson. So even at that age, I was like, well, this is just stupid. We're all going to die if we keep this up, so let's stop this. So I said, look, let's go back to my house, and we'll go down in, like, my basement. And, you know, my mom is oblivious. She's not going to know what's going on. We'll just get hammered. So we go back to my place, and we're in the basement, and everybody is now, I mean, 3 sheets to the wind, just gone, including myself. Somebody peed in my sub pump. I still don't know who, but I wasn't pleased about that. That's not how that works at all. So everybody's completely hammered, and I hear the door to the basement open, and it's just like this slow creaking noise, like me. And then I hear an audible, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make this come across the microphone, but I hear an audible, like, sniffing noise, okay? Like that pronounced, like a cartoon character smelling something, right? And then I hear my mother say, "I smell booze and I don't like it." As though she was from the 1940s. And so then I had to go upstairs, and so I am absolutely drunk, okay? Like, I mean, I am gone. And so I take like a can of Coke with me, okay? And I'm like, all right, keep it together, Vince. Moment of clarity. You know, you just gotta act sober here. I've got my story all set. So I walk upstairs and I sit down with my mom, and she's like, "Are you all drinking down there?" And I was like, "They are. I'm not." I explained the situation with the car, and I was like, "Look, you know I can't stop them, but what would you rather I do? Keep driving around in the country with a driver who's drinking, or bring them back here where at least they're safe and they're not going to hurt themselves or anyone else?" And she's like, "Well, I'm not happy. I would rather you didn't do it, but I understand. You're being responsible. So I'm proud of you for making the right choice. You just need to find better friends," was basically the message, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I am honestly drunk, and in my head I'm like, I'm holding it together. Moment of clarity. Right? And I'm like, oh my god, I'm going to get away with this. This is going to be masterful. This is legend. And I go to drink the can of Coke, okay, like take a drink from my can, and I missed my mouth by 6 inches. I barely got it near my face. I slammed the pop can into the side of my head and just dumped pop all over myself. And my mom was like, "You're drunk too!" And I was like, "Yeah, I am. You got me. I can't lie. None of that."
Oh, that's terrible.
That's pretty funny.
Wow.
The adventures of the young ne'er-do-well Vince.
I think we might have earned some viewers back with that one, Vince. Thank you. Speaking of which, I think mine might be on a rebound again in terms of subscribers. I'm back up to what I had before my last battle report went up. It's taken a week solid to overcome that dip, and I still have no freaking clue what caused it. But
See,
I really think it was probably just a fluke. Just, I mean, things kind of happen like that sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
See, I keep growing. I haven't lost anybody yet.
I haven't either.
Well, it's a numbers game,
course.
right? I mean, when you get up to a certain point of size, you are going to bleed subscribers. That is simply the way it goes.
Shh, we're making fun of him.
See what I have to put up with, Vince?
Hey, you made your bed. Now you gotta lie in it, man. I don't know what to tell you. It's you knew what you were getting into.
Yeah, you put a ring on it. You gotta deal with it.
That's right.
Hey, I picked up one.
Subscribe. I was like, you picked up a ring? What the hell are you talking about?
No, subscriber.
That's cool. So you're up to what, 12, 13 now?
61.
Very nice.
Yeah.
That just goes to show you, Skip, there is a contingent of people like yourself who they're looking for a champion. There are people out there who believe in Bretonia and the Ushabti, Skip, who want to see your point of view.
And you can start the fail scouts.
You ever think that that's why you're losing subscribers? That you're being mean to poor
What?
Skip?
Well, only if I lose less than 61. That might be a valid. No, Skip knows it's nothing but love.
Yep.
So
And
Skip,
the fact that I have to express my love in that fashion, I blame on you because it's all I ever get from you.
That's a lie, and you know it.
Mm.
So Skip, have you thought about your paint scheme for your for High Queen Calidia there?
I'm going to go a little bit blue. That's why I was asking that question in the PMP about what wash I would use if I went kind of with the cape, with the flowing cape. I want the flowing cape to be like blue.
Okay,
That's about as far as I've gotten so far.
I
like
suggest
it.
penicillin.
What?
For the painting of her, I suggest penicillin.
As in, you afraid that she might have some sort of bacterial infection and need immediate medical treatment?
Whatever joke you were going for was dead on arrival. You might as well pull out now.
Well, show us she.
Oh, that's good.
That is true. She is, but she's still beautiful. She is like exactly the type of figure that I love, because like they literally couldn't make a better figure for me. She's half beautiful and half hideous, and that is exactly what I like. The perfect balance. Alicia, I'm not gonna lie. You that like rot the your Toad video, okay?
Yep.
Like I watched it, but I had to turn it off. Like, and
no.
It wasn't because of anything bad. Like it had nothing. You were giving great advice. I liked it very much. I liked the paint scheme you did. They came out amazing. I just couldn't sit there any longer and listen to you talk about like pustules and you know and gross flesh, missing toenails with pus dripping out and stuff. I was like, nope, 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 done, turn off. Like, gross. I couldn't handle it. I'm sorry, I can't handle that stuff. Like I will never own a Nurgle model. I will never paint a Nurgle model. It's a level of like gross out that I can't do. So I mean, all power to you. You did a fine job with them. But and it was nothing personal. I was just like, I can't finish this. So I'm gonna have to apologize next time because it's all good advice. It's just making me sick to my stomach.
See, I've had similar issues with other people's models, but it's easier on me when I'm the one doing the sicking.
Sure. Yeah, when you're in charge of it, yes, I get it.
Yeah, it's like nails on a chalkboard.
Yeah. I like the blue, Skip. I'll tell you right now. When you do the blue, if you're gonna do that with the cape, you're on the right track. Okay. Asking about like the washes you do. If you're going for a blue that's gonna look anything like if you're aiming it kind of like what the heavy metal team's Calidia looks like, which she has like a blue cape and such, and I'm not like if you're going for that kind of a thing. I would say stay away from the normal blue shade, like the Drakenhof Nightshade, okay? Because it's really dark. That Wheelman blue, I don't know.
Yeah, I have some of that actually.
Good.
Glaze.
Yeah, the glaze,
Yep,
exactly.
glaze.
That's going to serve you a lot better.
Okay.
It's actually what I'm doing for all of my Saurus scales, the back scales that are all blue. It works really well. It gives a little bit of a shine to it, which I think works for scales, and it's a good color.
Yeah, and you can, one of the fun things you can do is kind of like cartoonishly over highlight, and then bring it back into alignment by using multiple glaze layers over top to bring the colors back together. You will, if you want to see what I'm describing in action, I have recommended Dr. Faust's painting clinic before. Okay.
Yes.
Um,
I have it. I am subscribed.
Very good. Excellent. He is amazing. Um, he just did a really neat video doing like a very quick paint job on some Robotech minis. What was interesting, not that I give a crap about Robotech or Robotech minis, but what was cool about that is he used the actual like Macross pens, which are basically just knockoff micro pens, which I've been all about recently as well with my with these breads. It's amazing what you can do with a set of micro pens. So really cool advice there. If that's something, I highly recommend everybody check that out if you have any interest in that kind of thing. They're very useful.
I want to ask a stupid question.
Yes.
What's a micropen?
Ay.
You're all right. This is a micro pen right here. It's by Pigma. Okay, you can buy a set of these off Amazon for. There you go. Yes, exactly what she's got. Yep.
Okay.
And
Or you can go to Hobby Lobby and get them. They have them too. They're in the art department.
Yep. And if you use like the 40% off coupon, I imagine they're pretty cheap at Hobby Lobby too. That daily Hobby Lobby Groupon.
$3-4, something like that for one.
Exactly. You get a pack for $3 or $4. It is a fantastic investment. If you're going to do something like Bretonians or anybody like that, where you want to be able to like do patterns, freehand patterns on things, the Micron pen is the way to go. Because what you do, there you go. Can you see that? I don't know if it's actually big enough. Can you see that checkerboard pattern?
Yes.
On the back of him? Okay. So to draw that, I started by actually drawing the lines with the Micron pen, and you will never you cannot do this with a brush without having these lines first. It's just going to look like crap. And then, so you use the lines as guides, and then what you do at the end is you go back and you can reline over it. It'll give you that hard square you're never going to be able to get out of a brush. Okay?
Okay.
But it can be used for, like, spot shading as well. You've got, like, tight lines in between armor. You want to put black in there. You can just, like, run the micro pen down there.
Oh, awesome.
Just catch that. Okay. So Once Bitten has a pretty good video where he talks about using Micron pens. So if you're interested, you can go check that out as well. He uses just the black. Alicia, did you get like just a big black set, or did you get like the multicolor set?
I usually have just a big black set because I actually have them from drawing.
Sure.
I use them for line work.
Yep.
I haven't used them a whole lot on the models.
Which is understandable. Yeah, they make a multicolor pack too, which I picked up, and I was actually really glad I did, because you can do some pretty cool freehand stuff with like where you can actually highlight with the Micron pens. If you saw like the most recent nights I put up, some of those had, like actual Micron pen highlighting, where I'm tracing the edge and highlighting out with different colors of the Micron pen.
Now on her model, on Kalada's model, there's that snake that kind of wraps around her arm, on the arm that she's holding the staff on.
Yep.
Can you use a micro pen just to do the shading in that, or would you use just a brush on that?
You could, honestly. There's no way I'm going to be able to actually like show you what I did with my Chlamydia. I actually just got another one because I wasn't happy with how I painted her originally. But yeah, I mean, I'm just not going to be able to pull out the detail. Okay. So with the snakes, what I would do with the Micron pen, you know what a coral snake looks like?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. What I would do with the Micron pen is I would use that. So a coral snake goes red, thin black stripe, yellow, thin black stripe, red, thin black stripe, yellow, and so on and so forth, right?
Okay.
You can picture it. So what I would do with the Micron pen is I would make those black lines that are the black stripes. And then all you need is to just go red, yellow, red, yellow. See what I'm saying? And you're just filling in between the two. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
And that will give you it'll look much more snake-like because it'll be much, it looks like straight lines and all that kind of crap.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But with the cloak, if you go, like, doing the sort of comic overpainting or over-highlighting and then glazing to bring the color in line, if you go to Dr. Faust and watch the episode he did on painting his Dark Elf Harpies, Okay. He will show you exactly how to do that technique. It's a technique I use on wings actually all the time because I really like it. But basically, he starts with a base color, and to create the illusion of like tendons under the wings, he just does stark white lines across the wings. Okay? Like, picture just like stripes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Bright white stripes. And then what he does is he glazes over top of that over and over again in different colors to bring it back in line. So then all you're left with is this slight hint of white underneath that makes it look like the tendons are just showing through the muscle. But anyway, watch that. That will give you sort of a heads up on how to do that. And it's an easy way to do it. What it really boils down to is it's a much easier way to do like complicated color blending rather than trying to use a wet palette or wet blending or any of that kind of crap. And it has very nice results.
Interesting. I've had some decent luck with wet blending when I've done it, but that sounds much easier.
It really is. You know, in the end, I honestly don't believe in wet blending. I mean, I'll use it on like a very rare occasion. But I really just don't believe in web blending. I think it rushes you, and it's overtly complicated for what you get out of it. I am a much bigger fan of like if you're trying to do that and you want to take your time, like the right way to do it is through layers and glazes where you're just thinning your paints to like really thin glazes and then just working the color down.
Did you see my Demonettes video, Vince?
Yes.
See, I do that method instead of wet blending. I don't think I would ever do wet blending.
Yeah, it puts pressure on to like, you have to use retarder, which is fine. Retarder. You have to use retarder on the paint because otherwise it's going to dry too fast. And just, I'm just not a fan. Like, a thin glaze will serve you so much better, and it's really about brush control. Like, that is the #1 skill you gain through painting, is brush control. Like, let me ask this question of you, Skip. How big of a brush are you using to paint your models? What size brush?
Let me see. Hang on, let me find it. It is a 5/0.
See, I thought that's what you were going to tell me. I could have predicted this. How often do you destroy brushes?
Quite often.
Okay, these two things are not exclusive. All right. You are using something that is meant for like the finest of detail on something very big, and like what you'll get is what you want to try to be moving toward is I use a #3. This is the brush right here I use on everything, down to like everything except eyeballs. Okay, I don't use this for eyeballs. This is like I do highly believe in this type of brush. It's of course it's all highfalutin. It's a Winsor Newton Galinsky Sable Series 7.
Oh wow.
#3. I really do stand behind this brand. And here's the reason. If you properly clean these, you will never destroy this brush. Okay?
I have a 3.
Assuming you're painting correctly. That is to say you're not doing this. If you're doing this at your model, you will destroy any brush you use, no matter what the quality. If you're doing this, you will not. Okay? You see, like, the difference is you want to be barely touching the model.
Okay.
And using the side of the brush, never the tip, unless there's literally no choice based on the angle. All this stuff, like, it's all just stuff you pick up over time. Like, brush control is the #1 thing I can say is the skill you should work on. Beyond color blending, beyond any of that crap, work on your brush control. Like, work on how hard you touch the fig with the brush. You should be aiming you should be aiming to literally establish molecular contact only. Like, as tiny of a connection as you can make is what you're always aiming for.
Okay. So use a 3/0?
No, I'm just using a 3. Like, when you get a anything 3/0 means sub-zero. 3/0,
Okay.
5/0, 10/0, right? Those are like sub brushes.
All right.
Again, like, the problem with brush size is it's not actually a universal thing. Okay, like different companies call things a 2 or a 1 or a 0. It doesn't actually mean anything. But when you're like, you should always just be don't worry about the actual number. Just when you paint and as you start progressing, like try to push yourself into using bigger brushes and touching the model less and using the side of it. That's what I'll say.
Okay.
You will paint faster because you will be putting more paint on the model at once without going back to your paint. You will be painting, you will have less brush strokes because tiny brushes create brush strokes. Okay? And your paint transitions will be smoother and you will destroy brushes less often. So, all of these are good things.
Sweet.
I was thinking about putting together a video that's like Vince's 10 simple tips for, like just 10 little quick simple tips for like being a better, or being a I don't know, better sounds such an asshole word. I'm not really trying to say that. Like, like,
Vince's 10 tips to not suck.
yeah, like, and that's not what I mean. That's such an asshole-ish way to put it, and that's really not what I'm saying. To just like to improve your painting and hobby. And one of them would be use something on to hold the model. Which yeah, I saw the paint pots in the picture. I love it. I like the old paint pots as it. I think those feel good. Those are about the right size.
Yeah, this one was a little weirder because there's not like a connector piece between the feet, so I split my tack into 2 and it's working all right.
I don't know that I like it as much because the model tends to move on me for some reason, even though like I got like tack all over the damn thing.
Yeah.
What I'll say is if you wanna stop that from happening, run a pin through the foot and then down into whatever you're doing it on. That will also help when you base it eventually. And like running a pin through a foot is a pretty quick thing. It takes 5 seconds.
I think I've fallen into one of the 2 classic blunders. First is never getting into land war in Asia, but the second one is but the second one is not priming my skeletons on the sprue.
I don't know. I didn't ever prime my skeletons on the sprue. I don't think you have to do that. Why are you? I mean, like, you could, certainly. I'm not saying you couldn't. You certainly could. Are you running into an issue because of that?
Potentially. I'm waiting for glue to dry now, so.
Gotcha.
Let us know if the next model falls apart too.
Well, let me say this, Skip. Given your gluing habits, I'm not sure you want to start painting anything before you start gluing.
Yeah.
If you're gluing it, as I'm led to believe like this, you may be better off assembling first.
Yeah.
But yes, like Alicia, do you have like a little hand drill like that?
Nope. Oh, yeah, I have one of those.
Yeah. You can use that to run a pin up into the foot real quick. Just takes a quick screw. It's not too bad. And then like you can just put a dot down into whatever you're holding the model on, and it should hold tight.
See, I would do that, but the models aren't mine. So it's one of those, I could run a pin and possibly screw it up, and then I have to buy this poor guy another model.
Well, that's never good, but I would say it's probably something that's, not a bad thing to work on, because eventually you're going to have to pin something for somebody, right?
I don't know.
I would bet. It's going to come to you eventually. They're going to say, hey, can you pin this stuff too?
We'll see.
I mean, I will say this. Every night that I've put together, every one you've seen me post, every one of them is pinned to their base. Like, it's like I do it on every model that's bigger than man size. I always pin them to their base. That way no one ever falls off their base. They never, come loose and stuff like that. Or it's much harder for them to come loose. Never's a hard word to throw around. when it comes to models. Things break. But hey, whatevs.
Mm-hmm.
How goes the Saurus? Yeah, have you conquered your issues there?
Working on it. The advent of liquid talent helps overcome some of my issues, but we'll see. I'm in the middle of the point now where, like, with every model I paint, I go through these stages where it's like when I first start putting colors on them, it's like, all right, this is looking awesome, I'm ready to go. And then you hit some point in the middle of it where you just feel like you fucked it up. And it just looks like garbage. But you just keep going, and then eventually you'll make it out the other side. And like once everything dries and the inks settle and it looks good again. And so I think I'm almost at the point where it's going to start looking good again.
Awesome. I don't think that is crazy or wrong at all. I don't think you've ever said anything that made me happier. You know, it's funny, like I remember during an end of month PMP thing we talked about that. Like one of the best and hardest lessons to learn in painting is that you have to be willing to make your model look like shit in the middle. If it doesn't look like shit in the middle, you're probably not doing it right. So the fact that you think that tells me, man, you're exactly on the right road, because that's what it is. Like before you know, it's going to look like crap in the middle of the whole process, and that's okay.
Sucking at something is the first step to being good at something.
Yes, yes. And having a model suck at how it looks is the first step toward it being a good-looking model.
To the minor. Never mind.
So
that means you're halfway home, Skip.
Yep.
So I do have another random paint question. I don't know how much you can answer this one, Vince, since you don't use the GW paints.
I don't.
But when I was buying paints for these models, I picked up an Auric. What the hell is it called? Auric Armor Gold.
Okay.
And I'm thinking, gold, okay, we can use that for gold. But
Okay.
this is like the slow being gold I've ever seen, and I can't find any good use for it. Anybody have any clues as to what this god-awful, grotesque color is actually used for?
Now, what kind of gold is it? Is it like very gaudy gold? Is it bright?
It
Is it dark?
is. Can you see it?
It's like wrapper gold, chain gold.
Oh, okay, like super gold.
Yeah.
Kind of like it.
Well, the problem is it just doesn't go, like what I'm doing instead to get kind of the goldish color is I'm doing Balthazar and then Hashit Copper with a brown wash in between the two, and I think it gets the look I wanted. But like I tried doing this as like an accent on top of it, and it's just so gaudily yellow. It's
Right.
like it looks terrible. So I'm like, I can't think of anything I could ever possibly use this color for, which kind of annoys me. Bought a color that I'm never going to use and spent that money. So
Yeah, I mean, I did use GW paints for a while, and after you held it up, I do remember. I do own a pot of that still, of which I think I maybe used, twice, because I felt like I was in the same boat as you, of like, my God, what is this color good for? This is insane. It is just so bright and so gaudy. I would say maybe occasionally as, I guess, like a dry brush over something darker, or like if you're trying to build up a final edge highlight on something gold, I could see that. But other than that, no, I don't think it has much use. I am generally, if you look at the metallics in what I paint, they are very rarely bright or reflective. I don't believe in bright metallics because that's not how metal actually looks. Right? Like metal is only reflective when when it's directly in the light. Other than that, it's not. And so,
Mhm.
like, I very rarely have a call to use a color like that. So, yeah, I think probably you're talking about maybe an occasional edge highlight or dry brush thing, and other than that, congratulations on the paint pot that's going to last forever until it dies.
Especially since I already bought that color once.
Yeah.
But I understand the instinct, especially doing Lizardmen. You think, like, Lizardmen are like the Austin Powers 3 of the Warhammer universe. They love gold.
I love gold.
Exactly.
Thank you, gold member.
A smoke and a pancake? No.
Absolutely.
Bong and a bit? No. There is no pleasing you.
Two things I don't like: unfounded racism and the Dutch.
The Dutch. Connie's. Little hands smell like cabbage.
Yes. That is probably the greatest line in all of Austin Powers. There are only two things I fear, and one of them is nuclear war.
Oh.
What's the other one? The other what? The other thing you fear. Oh, carnies. Small
Carnies
hands smell like cabbage.
smell like cabbage.
That's another group you can still make fun of. They're still on the table.
Jesus.
I don't know. They're scary.
Well, I didn't say they're not scary. I'm just saying you can still make fun of them. Or are you
I
saying
don't
that you're
know.
worried your house is going to get invaded in some kind of purge-like scenario by carnies?
See, I'd be
Of
more
all the
scared of
things
that
to-
if I had seen the newest American Horror Story.
Oh, freak show or
season.
whatever.
Yeah, like I saw like the end of one episode, and it made me very sad because it was about Pepper.
Like the thing
Like
that
the
goes.
condiment? Or
No, in American Horror Story, the asylum season, there is this microcephalic girl, Pepper, in it, and like she gets abducted by aliens and made super smart and ends up being like a pretty neat little character, even though she doesn't show up very much in the show in that season. But apparently in the newest season that's not on Netflix yet, she's in the freak show, and the end of the episode that I saw was how she came to be at the asylum. And it made me very sad.
I will be honest that I never watched that show. I'm not honestly a big fan of, like, I don't know, I'm not much of a fan of any horror made after, like, say, 1990. Like, I can watch classic horror, but modern horror, I don't know, something about it leaves me feeling flat.
I'm not a fan of horror in general, so I feel you there.
Lovecraftian horror for me.
And that's understandable. It's more psychological. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I like reading that sort of horror, but I don't think it's ever translated to the screen well.
Mm-mm.
Like Lovecraft, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of anything where they're like, yeah, I can't think of a counterpoint for that. Like, I cannot think of a good example of that. Maybe the closest, which it wasn't really like Lovecraftian horror, but it played around in a lot of the same tones, would be, did you ever see John Carpenter's The Thing?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I think that played around in a lot of the same space, right? The, like, the monster in us all and the madness and alone, at this
Yeah.
the edge of the world and all that.
Interestingly enough, I never considered that to be a horror movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, what would you consider it?
I mean, strikes me more sort of in the same vein as like the original Alien movie, and I wouldn't really consider that a horror movie either.
Wow, yeah, that's funny because no, I totally think that's funny you mentioned it because I think you're right. I think they are very similar, and yeah, I would absolutely consider them both horror movies. But I mean, hey, you know, I am not the king of definitions of what movies are. But yeah, for me, I mean, they're close enough. I certainly get what you mean. There's some kind of distinction there, right? They feel a little different than maybe traditional horror.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't Alien be considered horror?
I don't know. It just, like, when I think of horror movie, Alien is not what comes to mind.
Really? Because, like, I mean, they're scary as crap extraterrestrials bent on killing a whole bunch of people, laying eggs in their stomachs and eating them.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe I make a separate distinction for the sci-fi element of it, and I declassify it that way, but I don't know.
Get the chopper.
Yes, because maybe like some part of horror is required that you have to be able to like picture yourself in that. You have to be able to empathize or picture yourself in the situation, and given the like weird, far-flung, futuristic.
Yeah, you can't really identify with Ripley a lot, can you?
Right.
Not until she gets into the big robot suit. Then I'm
Believe it or not.
Spacebot.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and by the way, that is yet again why Alien 3 is the most disappointing sequel of all time. Just let me point that out. My hatred for the third Alien movie is... I don't know if it can be captured in words, because Aliens was so amazing, and you spend the whole movie rooting for her to rescue that dumb little kid, and then they start off Aliens 3, and they're like, oh, by the way, kid died. Sorry, new movie. I'm like, wow, thanks. Stupid movie.
I like Sigourney Weaver. She's pretty cool.
Yeah,
she sleeps above her covers. 4 feet above her covers.
Nice.
Thank you.
Excellent movie.
Thank you.
They are remaking that Ghostbusters, I'm sure you heard, but they also, well, not remake, it's not a remake of Ghostbusters, they're rebooting it with, you know, a new cast. But also Neil Blomkamp got a hold of Aliens and is doing a sequel that picks up after Aliens. So he is saying that Aliens 3 isn't in canon. I love it. Yes, given what I just said, go Neil Blomkamp. I support this completely. He's the guy who did District 9, if you ever saw that.
No.
Yeah, I skipped that one.
Oh, it was quite good. I do highly recommend it. If you like, it's, you know, it's really not about aliens. It's really about apartheid in South Africa, but that's okay.
Yeah.
It's a good movie.
What in South Africa?
Apartheid.
Okay, I'm gonna pretend like I know what the heck that means.
Wow.
You were not a world history buff, were you? It was the
I know history.
The racial. Basically, it was the racial separation in South Africa that basically made the very, very small white minority run everything.
Oh, I didn't know there was a name for that. I just thought that was just South Africa.
Well, it hasn't been for a while, but...
Yeah, for a long time it was. And so, yeah, this movie is all about that. Like, even though it's from the point of view of a guy and a weird alien, it's really about apartheid. So, there you go.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna hop off here. I've got an early day.
All right,
All right, man.
I'm excited for you for Calidia there, buddy. I want to see how that goes.
Thank you. I'll post pictures and keep you up to date.
Up to
Very
date.
good.
That too.
Okay.
All right. See y'all later.
See you,
Later,
man.
Tim.
But,
So what do you still got left there, Mitt, on your Lizardman? How's it coming along? How you do? Are you gonna have your 1,000 points ready?
yeah, I think now that I changed it so that I didn't waste all the time doing Saurus that I'm not going to use immediately. I've got my current project, and the only reason I'm actually doing this Saurus character, which is frankly kind of a waste of time, is that Alicia had all my oranges when we started this night because she was working on that the blood letters that she's doing.
Oh,
But
sure.
I've got 18 more skinks to do, a Bastillodon, the Rippers, and my second Salamander and its 4 crewmen. And once I do that, my 1,000 points will be ready to roll.
Well, that's not bad at all, especially given the speed you've been moving through this stuff.
Yeah. Of course, I've had kind of an unusual amount of free time this week, what with the weather and what have you, so...
Sure. Do you guys have any idea yet when you're... I don't want you to give anything away, but do you guys have any idea yet? You don't have to say the date, but have you set sort of a time when you think you're going to start the new game?
We haven't at this point yet. It's really just going to be depending upon how the story goes. I mean, I've said it before, we don't really write these stories ahead of time.
Right.
So it's kind of like as things are going. I mean, after this last battle report and the armies that have fallen off of the narrative since then...
Yeah, you're knocking them down.
Things have accelerated, assuredly. But, like, next... Daggum, I'm getting paint all over my hands. Like, the next battle that we're going to be doing this week coming up is hopefully to get Skip back on the daggum board again. He's been missing so many games lately. But that is designed to kind of tie together the last of the sort of what we're calling the rebellion, the last of the armies that are working against the corrupted Bretonnians, and now the Beastmen / Chaos. So we're not sure how exactly we're going to do that, but it's probably going to be multi-battle sort of thing to represent kind of one much larger force, maybe interlinked battles or something. But we're figuring once we get to that point where we're actually doing the rebellion battle, that in and of itself will probably take 2 or 3 weeks. So I'm thinking month and a half, something in that area.
Gotcha.
Maybe
you got some
a
good
little
time on it. You're not really up against it or anything.
No. I wanted to be ahead of the ball game, frankly. Because unlike Michael, I don't work very well under pressure to get it done.
Gotcha.
I can work fast and get things done, but when I'm under pressure like that, I tend to cut corners, and that's not what I want to accomplish with this army.
Right.
I want to do it right the first time and have a force that I can be proud of. So...
No, I'm totally with that, especially with something like Lizardmen where you got so much opportunity. And, I mean, they've been coming along so well. There's only been one little tiny thing you did that I was not a huge fan of.
Oh?
Yes. And it's the smallest little nitpicky detail.
Okay. What you got?
The feety color is what I'll call it. That's a technical term. Of your, like the underbody color of your salamander. Like that brown. Yeah, I didn't like it. I felt like it was too dark. Like, I really loved the red of the top of him, and like the skinks and the sauruses, everything else, I really loved all the colors you've used. I felt like, I mean, I knew what you were going for, but I guess you were going for like a very natural, organic look with the undercoat of that. I got it. It just felt like so dark to me. It was kind of out of place with the rest of the army, which was like very bright. So that was the only thing I wasn't a super fan of. And again, it's not that it looked bad. I just didn't like the color vis-a-vis the rest of it.
See, I was kind of going. I mean, you are pretty much right. I was going for a more dark base color, kind of by design there.
Right.
And that's the thing is, I'm trying to kind of come up with different color combinations for each of the the dinosaurs that I do. So I was actually pretty happy with how that turned out. I don't know that the pictures quite did it justice as much, but...
And that could very well be. I mean, pictures often make color variations get drowned out. And if there's like more, it just looked very brown in the picture, but chances are in real life there could be a lot more variance to that would make it look better.
Yeah. I'm trying to look at the picture I did now and kind of compare it to what it looks like in real life.
Sure, yeah, to reality.
Yeah. This stupid thing is taking forever to load. Because I know it came across, at least in life, more like a talar and sand kind of color. That there's definitely some yellow in it. It's not just like solid brown.
Gotcha. Yeah, and you don't really see much of that in the picture. But I found that that's often the case, especially when you get into those whites or yellow nuances and stuff.
Yeah, I did go. Yeah, for some reason I think I took the picture too dark, because you don't see it. There is like a dry brush of the talar and sand that brings it up a little bit, and there's more green to it as well that the picture just didn't catch up with, because what I was using for the inking is like the camo shade.
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah, absolutely. Big fan.
So it's definitely got this kind of greenish tint, which goes really well with the red when you're actually looking at it.
Okay, so it was really just a matter of the picture.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, if there's a greenish tint, then I would probably love it, because I love the look of like a subtle greenish tint with red. That's a nice contrast. Those always go well together.
Yeah.
The chances are I just didn't come through. Something about that Athonian camo shade, I've had that happen before too, because I use it on like wood to make wood look mossy, and it never shows up in pictures.
Yeah, this is the first time I've really made much use of it. But so I'm thinking, like, as far as colors go, like I said, for the rippers, I want to go with like a purple. Again, I want to make it like bright and scary looking. And I'm actually thinking of doing my Bastillodon somewhat similar to the way GW did it for the one with the Ark of Sotek. So like the top scales of the Bastillodon are actually black with the moss green underneath part.
Okay.
And I don't know how, like, I'm obviously going to do a lot of the solar engine on top with the sort of the golds I'm getting. I just have no idea what I'm going to do with the gemstone on top of it. And then, of course, there's going to be the orange skinks, because that's what my skinks are. The orange and red. But
which I love. If I was going to give you one little itty-bitty note on the skinks, it would be on their eyeballs. See if you can get a touch of a dark blue and then put that light blue over top of it, so there's still like a little ring of the dark blue around it.
Mm-hmm.
That would be my only little tiny note on those guys. But I seriously, dude, I'm in love with those skinks. Every one of those that you're posting up, I think they're fucking fantastic. I really, really like them. I think they look great.
Thank you. I'm very pleased with them. I think they're actually coming out a lot better than I expected them to in all honesty. And I really do think, like, it's weird to me, like, I'm painting them and they look all right, and then I put that little tiny blue eye in there, and it's like they've been freaking activated. It's like...
Yep. Yeah, I know, absolutely. It's the power of contrast. I mean, that's what it is. Like, when you get that contrasting color on there, it's just like the whole model explodes off. Absolutely. I support this. And you're absolutely right. I think somebody even commented, like in the comments on it, they were like, "Oh my God, I didn't think, I wouldn't think I would like those blue eyes, or I never would have thought of it, but it makes it look awesome." And I agree, you made the right color choice there.
Yeah. And I have to admit, I don't hate the basing at this point.
All right, we've moved up to not hating. That's better than where we were before. I'll take it. I'm not gonna shoot for the moon. I'll take not hate. I'm good with that.
Mm-hmm. Oh damn it! How the hell? I hope I didn't paint this to the point where I can't match. Like, I had to leave the shield off because the shield like totally covers the body. And now that I've got most of it painted together, I'm trying to dry fit it. And I can't figure out how the hell it goes together.
I hate that. That is always annoying. When I put together my Coven Throne, you know, we talked about the Coven Throne on many occasions, right? And when I put it together, I sub-assembled it off of. Here we go. I can just grab it here. So when I put it together, these two pieces are like halves. These ghost parts. They're these like two separate whole halves. And then this thing is one whole piece that I had up here. This throne cherry part, and then all the ladies are all there separately. Like, they can all come off. They're all just magnetized. But when I did this, and I went to put together the two sides, however I had glued them together, they didn't fit together anymore. Like, there was a gap. And I was like, oh, son of a... I am not going to be able to actually fit this thing in here because I did this part wrong. So I had to sit there and just, like, use an amount of force that I thought for sure I was going to shatter it, right, to get it to, like, just fit. And then finally I got it to hold together and stick.
Yeah, I hate when that crap happens.
Yeah.
Alright. I think I'm down to my last few little touches on the man himself. So I'm down to, like, fixing the parts where the tacky was stuck to him. Since I can't really put it on there with the base, well, I'm painting the base too. So it's like, I gotta go in once that's all done and, like, redo the feet.
Nice. You see the new Bloodthirster went up today, so the Archeon pre-orders have begun.
Yep. Not, I'll be honest, like, I saw the video of that, what do they call them? Not a fan. Or I guess it's more that I'm no more impressed with this than I have been with any of the other, like, big models they've done for the end times.
Yeah, I've got to say, you know what, I'm with you on this one. He's the most expensive of all of them. Okay, like, he's 116 retail compared to, like, 109 for Glocken and 105 for Nagash. And I got to agree with you. I look at him and I'm like, I'm not impressed. I'm really not. Like, yeah, there are better models out there that are cheaper that look more like that Bloodthirster. Reaper's made a couple. Like,
well, that's what I've got for my Bloodthirster is the Reaper Bones did one, so I got it as part of the original, what do they call it? The Kickstarter that we supported.
Yep.
And it was like, it was awesome. I put it together. It looks great, and I got no real issue with it. So they will not be getting my $116 for this one.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know where I'm at with the Bloodthirster, as I already did my fleshless woman there as my Bloodthirster model, so I'm covered. And I like Ultra Forge itself has a model that's basically a knockoff of the Bloodthirster, and I think it's a better model than the new actual Bloodthirster, and it's, I mean, what, less than half the price? I think it's
Yeah.
like 45 or $50.
Well, for me,
So-
it's like I was wanting to want this one, if that makes any sense, because at this point it means that they went through the entire end times, and I've not even been enticed to think about buying any one of the big model kits they brought out.
I want you to want me.
Yes. Well, I can't obviously say that, as one of them was one of my favorite models I've ever put together. He's back there on the shelf, just keeping watch over all of my wonderful Skaven. I do love the Vermin Lord model, but I mean, if you're not a Skaven player, it has no freaking use. But like,
I don't know. They just
go ahead.
even for Skaven, I don't feel like they fit the aesthetic. Like I look at that and I go, that's a Beastman model. And it just I don't see Rat out of that at all.
I don't know.
I like how the rat looks.
I think he looks Skaven. He certainly. I mean, I get it. There's not a huge difference, right, between the two aesthetics there, but it is the horned rat. The big horns are often Beastman stuff too. I mean, I think it depends on the build, but I am a huge fan of the Vermin Lord, and I certainly like Thankful as well. I thought he was a good model. He has a lot of fleshy abundance on him. But like I agree, the Nagash and Glotkin is gross, and yeah. That being said, I saw that you could get like the Nagash's body, like just his whole body, his legs and stuff, and the torso and all that, for like $15 or something off one of the bit sites.
Mm-hmm.
And I have like a bunch of extra pieces from the War Sphinx kit, that people generally use to convert over for Pyro Titans. And I was thinking about picking that up just to like convert my own Nagash. Just make him out of parts. Just like totally kit bash a Nagash and basically make a Nagash for $15.
Dude, do it. It'll probably look better than the Nagash model.
Yeah, mine wouldn't be like 10 feet up in the air, for one thing. Like, he would probably be closer to the ground.
Unlike
that dude is way off the ground.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm not even sure why, but just like the aesthetics, the scale. I mean, there's really nothing of these new models that have really tripped my trigger. Which, like I said, is a shame. I mean, this is, as you and many other people have put it, this is the biggest thing to happen to Warhammer Fantasy in God knows how many years, and I don't like it at all. I mean, there's none of those things that made me want to go out and go, I need to buy this.
Right.
Hooray.
And I tell you, I mentioned it the other day, and it's true, and it's like the guys and I are even thinking about selling off our books once we finish, like once the whole thing finishes and we're done reading it, because it's like there just doesn't seem to be a lot of continuous value in those books.
I get it, and I would say the only problem with your plan is that I bet you're not alone. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think you're exactly right. I honestly think that, like, once the end times is passed, clearly they're the setup for the new world or whatever, but I think that they're, more or less probably going to end up being relegated to, as Galaxy Quest would say, the historical documents. It's like, are you really going to just sit around and go read Nagash just for fun or something? I mean, and I don't mean that you personally, obviously, no, but but I meant, like, in general.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I wish there was a anything at this point out of this end time stuff that I wanted to keep and add to my army. And I don't feel that there is.
Well, it's funny because yeah, it's been an embarrassment of riches for me, as we mentioned, but that's just because of that's nothing else than happenstance and luck, given the armies that I play, right?
Hmm.
Um, like for Tomb Kings, there was stuff for I didn't get anything from the Glocken release, but hey, who's surprised there? And then for Skaven and stuff like that. So I mean, there's been, and I like the Kane book, which I know you're not a big fan, but I did like it.
I
Um,
still think, I mean, the Kane book may arguably be the best one.
I'm actually coming around to that point of view. It's funny because when I first read through them, I thought Nagash was my favorite, but like as time has gone by and I've reflected on it, I think the Kane book has honestly become my favorite of them.
I can definitely agree with that. I think Nagash was good and was seen as amazing due to its initial shock value because it was so new and different. But I think now that we're seeing sort of the same ilk from all the others, I think Kane is probably the best written.
Yeah, I think it's the one where you get the best sense of character from a lot of the people,
Hmm.
right? Like a lot of the elves have motivations. It's much more like Greek tragedy style of thing, and it's not just a bunch of skeletons punching each other in the face.
Right.
Woo!
It's
But
much
even that, I mean, even if they had done some model releases with that, it still wouldn't have gotten me to open up my wallet. I mean,
sure.
it's just their releases for these things were just so slanted to a few particular armies that I literally just can't bring myself to give a crap.
Sure. No, I understand. I understand and agree. I just got lucky that, hey, congratulations, they're your armies, right? So, like, hey, that was cool. Good on me.
Hmm.
But it could have just easily gone away.
I think you're going Cylon on us, Alicia.
Really?
Yeah. I'm hearing that like buzz coming from your mic. But
I'm hopeful that I'm certainly going to order an Archeon book, and I'm really
mhm.
hopeful that this story impresses me. I don't know why I am hopeful for that, but I am. I want it to be good. I am very afraid it's going to let me down, but I want it to be good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think my problem is that I'm just, I mean, like we discussed the other night, I'm so weary from all of this that the story in Archeon has to basically be impossibly good
Right.
to to build up that level of energy again that I had when Nagash came out. Um, and I'll be honest, I have not seen a level of writing from the fluff side of folks that gives me even the least bit of faith that they can pull it off to the level at which they need to pull it off to get my excitement level back up.
Sure. I Yeah, I doubt it will hit that bar. I really do. I mean, here's the thing I'll say. I don't think GW's strong suit has ever really been fluff.
Mm-mm.
Like, that's never been what they were good at. Basically, the Warhammer world is just a collection of a lot of different tropes all slammed into each other, right? Like, there's
Mm-hmm.
nothing, originality and that sort of like deep storytelling has never been their thing. All their stories have always been painted in broad strokes. Like, they survive on the rule of cool more than they survive on anything else.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I suppose that's why a lot of the stuff in End Times doesn't come as a surprise to me, because I guess compared to like a lot of my experience with the fluff, it's honestly probably better.
Yeah, I can see where you're going with that. and I don't disagree really in any way.
Yeah, like I think back to, I remember one of the stories I read that made me love Emperor Karl Franz. Okay, and I
Hmm.
want to say it was out of like the fifth edition Empire book, maybe, where it
Hmm.
talked about Karl Franz uh, fighting. Yeah, it had to be the fifth edition one because I'm pretty sure it was the one after they got rid of Sigmar as a special character. Um, they talked about Karl Franz battling this giant orc war boss, right? And he's fighting the guy or the orc, and the orc is just crushing him. You know, orcs never stop growing, right? That's the trick with orcs. They always, like, the older an orc gets, the bigger he gets, and the more
Right.
his society will allow. They're like goldfish, basically. Um, they're fungal goldfish,
Hmm.
and the orc is going to win, and Karl Franz realizes he is going to die. He cannot beat this foe, but he fights on anyways. And then the orc is like takes a step back as replacing the figure of Karl Franz that he was looking at is this massive, like 7.5 foot tall human who wields a giant hammer and is like standing sort of like a ghostly form, like a shaman king form, over over Karl Franz, this barbarian man, who then brings down the hammer on the orc as Karl Franz swings at the same time and kills him. Now there was nothing really like character developing or amazing about that story, but I just thought
Hmm.
it was like rule of cool. I thought it was so awesome to have like Sigmar over your shoulder fighting for you in that way.
Right. Had you seen Conan before
Oh
that
yes,
happened?
oh yes,
Because that's kind of
absolutely,
that's all that seems to bring to mind to me with that story.
which is fair. Yes, I had, and sure. I mean, it's an excellent point, right? I mean, the whole yes, clearly there's a huge amount of derivation from the Conan world going on in a lot of that stuff. Um, but yeah, but I thought it was awesome. I was like, yes, I can get into this. That's a
Mm.
story I can get behind, and it's always been that more than actually like a good story. And like the funny thing about it is, how much like fantasy fiction do you read?
Um, not as much as I used to, but I used to read quite a bit.
What's your favorite?
Um,
Or like pick a couple if you can't reduce it to one, which is fair.
well, yeah. I mean, it depends. I go for different fantasy for different things. I mean, I obviously I love the Weiss and Hickman Dragonlance stuff, the early stuff. I like Robert Asprin's Myth Adventures for kind of my more silly, jokey kind of fantasy. Yeah, that kind of stuff typically.
Fair enough. Yeah, and like, when's the last time you read the Weiss and Hickman like Dragons trilogy?
A couple years ago.
Okay. Side note: have you read the annotated trilogy?
Yes.
Okay, good. I love the annotated trilogy. Those like behind the scenes facts are pretty awesome.
Hmm.
Um,
Absolutely.
I love the fact that they were like playing the game at the same time, but they kept
Hmm.
getting it wrong in the game, and they had to like replay scenes because they kept dying. Like the scene with the
Hmm.
black dragon, they actually climbed down in the well and all died.
Hmm.
Awesome. Anyway,
Yeah.
like, yeah, hilarious. I went back and read those again recently, and something struck me. They're really not written very well. Like, that is to say, by the standards of fiction, and don't get me wrong, this is coming from a place of a great love. I'm just saying, like, honestly, they're not great as far as like fiction goes. The characters are pretty thin. There's a lot of like dangling plot threads that just kind or like and character moments that don't really get paid off properly. All this kind of stuff. And yet still, I absolutely love that trilogy. Like even recognizing that stuff, it didn't diminish in my mind at all. You know what I mean? It's the same thing I recognize about like the Lord of the Rings. So I think to me it's the same thing with the Warhammer 4. Like it's not written that great, admittedly, but I love it all the same. That's my take on it.
Yeah. Well, we are completed.
Da 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 da. Nice.
I think I'm going to snap a couple of photos here, and then we'll call it an evening.
Sounds good. I'm glad I was able to come along on the journey of your old blood there.
Make my pseudo ghetto light box here, which is just a shoebox top and a napkin.
Hey, it works.
Maybe
Whatever.
why my pictures don't turn out great, but we'll go with it. Actually, that's the other fun part about doing these photos right after you're done. Once you get the camera to close up on it, you go, "Oh crap! I forgot to do that."
Yep, every freaking time, man. I swear to God, every time, right? I hate when I post it and I'm looking at the picture and then I'm like, shit! And that's when I catch it.
Mm-hmm. At least for me, it's like there is a good sign to that because I find myself, like, the stuff that I'm forgetting is smaller and smaller each time.
Well, that's good.
It's like I'm past the point now where, like, I take the picture and there's white primer showing up.
Gotcha.
Which,
you're not
like,
getting
when I was
the blue table painting effect.
Right. Usually it's just like and I tell you the one thing I always forget when I take the first picture, and I don't know why I always forget it. It's I don't ink the teeth, and maybe it's because I got into the habit with the White Tooth clan of their perfect dental care. But
Hey, look, that's
like,
why they're the White Tooth Clan. They have an excellent dental program. When you eat all the time, you got to have a good dental plan. That's just common sense, folks.
right. So just blacking up them super sharp chompers there.
God.
What about
What's
you,
wrong?
Alicia? How goes the skull cannon?
Corn cannon, this thing is such a pain in the butt to do.
Yeah, I got to agree with you. Mine took me longer than I expected it was going to take. I was not super pleased with it. But I really like the model, but, whatever. Is what it is, I guess.
I was
Are you
actually
doing,
pretty
like-
happy with the one I did.
Do you use that thing very often? I'm trying to think of, like, your demon armies and how often I see you actually use it in a battle.
I do, but you have to be very, very careful to watch it because I usually misfire and blow the damn thing up by turn 2. So you gotta be paying very close attention.
Gotcha. It's only around for a turn or two, is what you're telling me. It
Exactly.
doesn't feature heavily in the total battle report.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's how every damn cannon I own works, man. It doesn't matter what army it's for. I cannot use a freaking cannon to save my life.
So, did you decide to go cannonless for brawlers?
I am going cannonless for brawlers. I'm just not. I am neither good nor lucky enough with them to make it worthwhile. So
You are both a brave man, and honestly, I don't know, man. I think it might be the right choice, given what you got going on, given, yeah, the ogres are tough and stuff like that, and that cannon's really good, but at the same time, it's points you're generally going to give up every game.
Mm-hmm.
And,
well, I told you, man.
In this case, it's not.
What my back is that I'm going to put my Yetis on the table. My opponent is going to burst into laughter and basically laugh his way through the game, so he won't be paying attention, and I might actually sneak some points away. That's my actual plan. Now, I decided that for what I get out of it, I'm better off. I replaced it with a unit of scouting man-eaters, like a little 3-man, to just kind of get up in somebody's face and mess them up. Preferably like to hunt down the other war machines so I can get into combat without worrying about getting blasted, that sort of stuff. So, if I can do that and make it work, I'll be pretty happy. So,
well, I certainly stand behind the man-eater. Those guys are so freaking brutal.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, they're also, in terms of like the painting score from it, they're my most modded unit in that army. So I'll definitely get some points for the conversions that I've done, which I think are all pretty good.
So I'm going to be rebasing a number of his models for Brawlers. What was the snow formula that you used, Vince?
Oh yeah, sure, absolutely. Snow, very easy. Okay, so here is all you need. Get yourself some not a baggie of cocaine. Get yourself just, baking soda, like just baking soda, right?
Okay.
And you want this plus glue plus water. Now, to tell you exactly what the parts mix is, I can't tell you, because I don't know, because I don't pre-measure the baking soda when I put it in a red Solo cup. In fact, that is full of the remnants of last time I did snow. Here's what I will tell you: the right consistency is when it's like toothpaste.
All right.
Fair enough?
I think I can make that work.
There you go. If it's too thick, add more glue and water. If it's too runny, add more baking soda. That's all you need. And mix like hell. I mean, you gotta like stir the living bejeezers out of it. But that being said, that's all. It's that easy.
All right. That shouldn't be too difficult.
And it will look kind of weird when you first do it, but it's how it dries. That's the key. Like it dries. I mean, you saw it. Because little goblin guy uses it, so that's how it comes out.
Yeah, basically my plan is just to get some gravel and maybe like some dead static grass on there and some snow cover. Be done with it.
Makes sense.
Just so it doesn't look like the crap that it looks like now. Don't sigh like that, because I am helping you out of the kindness of my heart.
I mean, she's kind of got a point on you there.
Yep, that's why I didn't say anything. I just sighed. No comment at all. But I don't know. Worst part about it, I know it's going to drive me absolutely crazy once the tournament's over. And I put them back, and like these big bases are going to be there, and then my normal bases for the rest of the army, and yeah.
I told you once I get time, I'll do the rest of your freaking army.
Okay.
Or you can watch me do what I'm going to do for you, and then you can finish the army.
I will say you totally could do it, man. It's not tricky. You'd be fine.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I'm not 100% sold on this whole basic thing to begin with, and messing with the ogres is yeah. Just not sold on it yet.
Messing with the order. Don't mess with the order.
We'll get you there.
Mm-hmm. All right. is past midnight, and I have to work tomorrow. So I think it's about time to call this one. And
Call it what?
I'd be damned if I know. I can't come up with a worthwhile title for this mess we've had today.
Boy, oh boy, yeah, random ass discussions, right?
Yeah, well, I think that's part of the fun of this is just, I mean, it reminds me a lot of when I was in college and me and my housemate would just stay up till freaking 4 in the morning just randomly discussing whatever fool thing popped into our heads. It's kind of a nice...
I agree absolutely, my friend. I find it to be a grand old time. Now, how entertaining it is to anyone watching, hey, I hope you all got something painted and were remotely entertained by our random-ass discussions and stories. If not, I'm sorry, but I was certainly entertained, so there you go, people.
So, I got to bring one thing up. I just got an email where I was corrected on my pronunciation of Valia, and apparently this person is saying it's Valet-A? Valet-A? I don't know. They just did VA-LAY-A. And then said Valia is like some women's digestive yogurt.
Like Activia?
Yeah.
Okay, I have never heard of a yogurt named Valia. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So wait, are we saying that... Hold on. So is Jamie Lee Curtis really Valia? Or does Valia help dwarves poop better?
Why does that have to be an either-or thing,
That's a good
Vince?
point. That's a good point. You got me on that one.
Yeah,
Why
there's
not both?
Activia, and there's... God, there's one other one.
See, this is the point where my channel has devolved to at this point. This video's been up all day. I've gotten 2 comments. One of them was a decent comment of, hey, like the video, something to that effect. And the other one is talking about dwarf poop yogurt.
Mm-hmm.
That's my channel to a T right now.
Nice. Nice. Well, if it makes you feel any better, the only reason I didn't leave a comment is because I knew I was going to talk to you at some point, and so I talked to you about what I saw at the beginning.
Right. Well, it just, like, the thing that gets me is not even the digestive yogurt reference. It's the fact that he spells out the VALAYA and then basically writes it like I would say that. Like, VA-LAY-A is Valia to me. Which is how I pretty much pronounced it the entire time, so I'm not really sure what he's going for.
Let me ask this. Is there even a real way to pronounce that word? It's a made-up word, right? I mean, that's not a real person.
Yeah, I don't think so.
It's the argument of necromancer and necromancer.
All right, now you just went off into Looney Tune Town. What did you just say? That's not tomato tomato. Necromancer?
No.
There were 2 guys that we used to game
She's
with
making a reference to
up a wall.
And they pronounced it necromancer all the time. It's like, don't make me backhand you. Say it right.
Please tell me, please tell me either they were joking and or you excommunicated them from your game for such behavior.
We actually kind of missed one of them.
Yeah, one of them was a really good guy, but I think they both smoked from the bowl a little more than they needed to. But
gotcha.
Good old country boys barely can speak English, so the made-up words messed with them even more.
Nice.
All right. Well, I am going to go ahead and kill this now, guys. Thanks, Vince, for coming and hanging out with us. For God, we've been on like 3 hours, I think.
This is going to be
so-
like the longest Paintisode in the history of Paintisodes.
And I'm gonna get 4 views, and we'll be done with it. So, all
I
right,
was
man.
on it, you probably will get more.
It was
I don't know.
excellent to
That
hang out
doesn't
with
seem to
both
be.
of you.
I don't know.
All right, man. Well, y'all take it easy.
Absolutely. Y'all have a good night.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.